How is it some women look like the daughter of Aphrodite and the sun? They're like starshine in human form, and all you can do as a mere regular mortal is gaze upon their beauty and be mesmerized. And when you put two of those kinds of women together, you have the web series Stupid Wife. So many people have asked me to talk about this show. Every other day I get a comment asking me to talk about this show. I have not known peace since this show was released. I have not. And I finally caved under the lesbian pressure. And it feels good. If you're not familiar with Stupid Wife, it's a Brazilian web series based on a Fifth Harmony fan fiction. The story follows Valentina and Luisa, who met in law school but never got along due to different personalities and worldviews. Then one day, Luisa wakes up and her worst nightmare has come true. She's married to Valentina and they have a young son together. Okay, so if I'm honest with you guys, I put off watching this show for quite a while because the two leads are so incredibly beautiful, and sometimes when you have leads who look like supermodels in lesbian productions, it can mean that the looks are a compensation for other areas which may be lacking. That seems to be how it usually is. But two things. I initially approached this show from a Western perspective, which is a privilege because in the West we have quite a lot of lesbian content. I mean, look at this channel. It's been a decade and I'm still finding things to talk about. So, you know, we've got our fair share of content, we do. Whereas in Brazil, that's not the case. Lesbian productions over there are to be protected at all costs because of the representation that they offer to people who need it. And I understand that now. Anyway, after relentless pestering from what I'm going to assume was the Brazilian portion of my audience, and I love you guys so much. You are so passionate and I admire that, I do. I finally sat down to watch Stupid Wife and see what it was all about. And you know what? The show is actually really interesting and it delivers far more than I was expecting. I mean, the first episode opens up with a show about workers' rights and I can get behind that. Oh honey, I support the unions. I do. So this show is much more than just two very pretty faces. It is. This series also has so many twists and turns, and there's an element of mystery running throughout about what the traumatic event was that caused Luisa to lose her memory, which absolutely keeps you sucked in. There are a couple of things which point to the loss of a child being the source of Luisa's memory loss, but nothing has been 100% confirmed yet, so the mystery continues. It does. I also love how the enemies to lovers dynamic between Luisa and Valentina is kept alive throughout the show in various forms, because Luisa hates Valentina to begin with and then just wakes up married to her with no memory of that. So it sort of reverts back to that enemies to lovers dynamic again. It's like enemies to lovers inception. I mean, the two leads are obviously gorgeous, but there's so many cute moments between them. It just makes this show enjoyable to watch. And I love that the actors weren't afraid of each other in terms of intimacy. I mean, there's a willingness to connect there. I also found the family moments with their son just so adorable. I mean, we could all use more representation when it comes to lesbian families and motherhood. So it's just so nice to see that on screen. And I love the way that the show normalizes being a same-sex couple and same-sex couple family. It's so important for representation, and it's still really rare to see in this day and age. I think my favorite part of this series is the last episode where Luisa and Valentina are like celebrating with other people about the fact that they finally smashed for the first time after the memory loss, and that was just entertaining for me. It was. There was also another smash at the end of the episode which wasn't as enjoyable, but probably points to a second season, so good. As a production, I think that this show is pretty good, particularly for a free web series. I can tell you the amount of work that goes into creating a show like this is no small thing. So much time, money, and hard work goes into creating a production like this. So the fact that they've kind of put it up on YouTube, which means it's free for people to watch, is amazing. And within that context, on a technical level, I don't think there's anything to complain about at all. So on a subjective level, whilst I enjoyed the show, I don't really feel like I personally have any connection to it. Again, that might just be because I'm quite privileged with the amount of lesbian content I have access to, and that's fine. I can still appreciate this show for what it is. And this might be a cultural thing, but the show feels more kind of performative than organic, which is completely fine. Not everything has to feel like season 1 of the L Word, you know? And essentially, I feel like this show is so popular mainly because of the supermodel looks of the actors, alongside the kind of much needed representation. And hey, you know, there's nothing to complain about. I'm not complaining at all. And again, I know it's a privilege for me to even have that opinion. It's just because it's just Jennifer Beals has ruined everything else for me. I'm sorry. I love her so much. So much. Overall, I think this show has so much potential. It's a really interesting concept, which I haven't seen before in lesbian media. And as I say, I've watched a lot of it, so that's impressive. And it's also a much needed source of representation for Brazilian lesbians and bisexual women who need it. I think it's especially nice to see a lesbian family on screen, especially shown in a positive light. And I think for that reason alone, this show should be protected at all costs. It should. I see why it has such a huge fan base and simps. Lots of simping. Okay, I've made the video. You can leave me alone now. You can finally leave me in peace. Thank you. Okay guys, if you've seen Stupid Wife, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments section below. If you're a lesbian, if you're a fan of Brazilian women. No, that's weird. That's weird. Come and join the Sapphic Underground Club. Just come and join it. Go. Don't forget to subscribe for instant disappointment, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.